Let's make a 3D moon with gypsum. Making the gypsum moon. I used a balloon as a mold and placed tape under it to make the base. I thought I'd try using latex putty. I diluted it with water and started to add the putty. Just before I was done with the first layer, the balloon popped and threw putty everywhere. I replaced the balloon with a ball and started adding a thin layer of putty. I painted this small box black to be the base of the moon. Once dry, the putty started to peel, so I covered it with PVA glue and left it to dry. Then I wrapped it with white pop fiber and covered it with another layer of putty. It worked, but I can't add the moon craters, so I decided to cover it with gypsum. I left it to dry a bit, then started to add the details. The painting technique to make it look realistic, I covered it with white paint and left it to dry. Now it's time to paint and add the shading. I returned and found that a piece fell out, so I filled it and painted it. I got an empty cream container and sprayed it gold to make the base. Let's make a Joker sculpture. First, let's make the head. I chose the two masks that I wanted to combine. Then I used Photoshop to mark the areas I wanted to cut. Time to cut and combine the masks. I covered the masks with tape to make a mold and filled it with gypsum. I sprayed a stick with black spray paint. I completed the mold and added the neck. I filled the mold with sand, white pop fiber, and something to add more weight. Then I filled it with the gypsum. I hollowed out the eyes and mouth and cleaned the face and neck from the extra gypsum. I added more gypsum to complete the back of the head. Making the base, I got an old pot and made a hole in its center. Then I placed the stick inside the hole, flipped it, and filled the pot with gypsum. Sculpting the hair, I cleaned the excess gypsum, hollowed out the left eye, and placed a marble inside. I covered the top of the head with gypsum and used a comb to make the hair. Time to paint. I painted it white as the first layer. Then I painted the hair green. I used black acrylic paint as the base, then filled the eye of the skull with epoxy and glow-in-the-dark powder. I added the details on the hair using yellow and black paint. I added putty around the skull and painted it red. I used shades of red to make it look like real blood. I used the same technique for the mouth and left eye. Then I used black spray paint on the bottom of the base. I used gold for the top of the base, but I didn't like it, so I repainted it in black. Let's redesign the skull spray bottle. I used a 3D pen to add some details. Then I covered it with multiple layers of white plastic paint. Then I diluted some PVA glue with water, covered the skull with it, and glued some gold leaves. I used a brush to remove the extra gold leaves. I painted the handle black and sprinkled it with gold leaves. It's time to add the details.